This is The Unconventional Woman. This is the post-date vlog for date number 35. Yeah, so after the film, he wanted to go for another drink. And I was like, okay, but I'm just really tired. Yeah, like I said, he seemed like a legit guy. He was interesting. He talked about like doing show reels for actresses, and he has most of the equipment himself. Like, as in, I was talking about my knowledge of production studios, and I'm like, well, do you have to rent equipment out? And he's like, no, I have most of everything I need. I rent it to other people, so that's good. He was telling you about how his flat is super cheap in Prince Albert because he's had it for 10 years and they haven't raised the price. I was like, that's amazing. And he's just applied to this grant. He wants to go film in Alaska. And we talked about Nanook of the North and Reefer Madness and these kind of things. But yeah, just after the film, I was super tired because I've been working all day, and the film started at 10:45. That means it's 12:45. It's late. But we went for another drink anyway. The bar, it was another like crummy kind of bar. And I was like, I just need some coffee. And then he went and asked, and there was no coffee. And I'm like, okay, well, tea then. Tea. I'm not drinking alcohol at this point. I had a beer before, I had a beer in the cinema. I don't need any more beer. I want tea. There's no tea. And finally, I just give in. I'm like, okay, I'll have a martini. And terrible martini. Terrible martini. Yeah, and then you're just talking some more, not very intimate. Like, there wasn't that much energy between us. And I just felt really tired. And I'm like, I want to go home now. And it must have been 1 or something. I mean, it was pretty late. I'm gonna go home. I've got a lot of stuff to do tomorrow. He's like, well, you wouldn't think of like going home with me, would you? I'm like, no. No. And, that was the two things, like, really annoyed me. I mean, besides the thing with the eyes, which I don't know what that is. I mean, when you don't like somebody's facial expressions. But did two things. So first on Tinder, he's like asking me out right away. Like, he doesn't even care what I have to say. And then he's like asking me, would I even consider going home with him when, we haven't kissed. There's been like no energy or intimacy or anything. This guy thinks Tinder is a vending machine, that spits bodies out. And that's not true. Everybody on Tinder is a person. I mean, there's spam bots. But, those are images with real people. You have to, like, actually try to connect to them and get to know them, Can't just, like, expect things to happen. Yeah, so, I know, creepy vibe. I mean, I'm not going to convict him in court, but, well, and he hasn't called me either, so that just goes to show it's a yeah, creepy vibe. So I'll leave it at that. See you next time, The Unconventional Woman.